podcast? What is it?
I do. It is rawrelationships.net. I have all my podcasts are on there, all my episodes. Yeah.
Okay, wow, cool. And so are you just dealing with relationships or any other topics?
Pretty much anything relationships, not only with other people, but relationships with ourselves as well. So
Mhm.
then that kind of brings me to other things like meditation and spirituality and all sorts of different things on there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we sometimes forget we forget to get to know ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's key in having a good relationship with other people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to know who you are. I had a client earlier today who I was working with, and one of the key points of our discussion is that we can generally be happy when we know who we are. When we know who we are, we can make the choices that are right for ourselves. But
hmm
getting to that point of knowing who we are is pretty complicated for most people.
Well, it is. And I think, we don't even think about that. Like, we're so busy looking outward to have other people and other things make us happy when ultimately we're the only one that can make ourselves happy in the end, right?
All right, yeah. I mean, if you sit around waiting for somebody else to come to you with everything that you need, then they're going to be waiting for a pretty long time.
Well, yeah, and you're constantly going to be disappointed, right? Your expectations will be crushed, like everything will be negative, and that's not a good way really to live.
Well, yeah, expecting another person to bring you the happiness that you seek in life is probably not the right way to go. And yet, at the same time, there's this inner self and inner feeling we have, and there's also a relationship that we need to have with the outside world as well. You can't live alone, basically. You
That's
can't
right.
disconnect completely from the world. You've got to go to work. You've got to communicate with other people. You've got to share experiences with other people, and so you can't. I don't think you can focus only on what's outside or only on what's inside. I think you need to find
Exactly.
some kind of balance between both of those things, and hopefully that's part of maintaining a healthy relationship. But where do you start? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the starting point? I mean, what do you think from your perspective? I mean, where do you begin to look at the topic?
Well, I think, like you said, like bringing up balance is a huge part of it, and knowing you can't fully go inward and just love yourself because then you're almost egocentric, right? it can kind
Absolutely.
of it can kind of go both ways. So you have to kind of make a balance, and there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, and you have to allow that to happen. I think, not be so critical of yourself. Oh, I had a bad day, I'm just a bad person. And so many people kind of do that. And I think with that balance, if you can find that balance, then your energy um, also changes. And that in itself, I think, is huge because you may not have to say anything, but when your energy changes, people just react to that.
Oh yeah, and people don't realize that the energy is something that we share with other people, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's something that's not just contained within ourselves. I think it's pretty much everywhere in the world. And one thing I've noticed recently is through the anchor conversations that I've had with people is that you get a feeling for the people who are putting energy into the conversation,
Yeah.
and a feeling for the people who are, like, I don't know, living at the bottom of a tin can or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're very negative and very
Mhm.
maybe focused on things that aren't um, for the higher good. Like I'm all about what is for the highest good of you. So if it's like a lot of people I find don't know, like going back to the beginning, they don't know themselves, so they don't know what drives them, they don't know their passions, and if they do know their passions, they're not doing them, they're putting them to the side because of work, or a partner maybe doesn't agree with it, or a family member. And that's all stuff that I think is really important. If you know what drives you, then you can kind of move forward with it, right? Because I think so many people are stuck, like they just don't know. They just work. They have a family. They go to sleep. They wake up. They work. You know.
Oh yeah. That's what happens if I think you get stuck if you treat life as a series of instructions that you have to follow. Right. I mean, you wake up in the morning and either you have your shower, you have your breakfast, you go to work, you go to school, you do whatever it is you need to do. You move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, and then you come home and you're tired, and then you go to bed, and then you get up and do the same thing the next day. And you know, you grind yourself into nothingness basically. Over a period of time, because you're following down a series of instructions laid out by other people. You're not living your own life.
That's right. Yeah.
In that kind of scenario, a couple of things a couple of realizations that I've had recently that have helped me try to understand relationships. One is, I think that everything has two sides. You know, some people call it the yin and yang, the positive, the negative, you know, whatever. Yeah. But everything has two sides. And if we simplify it and say like, oh well, this is, you know, this is the negative side and this is the positive side. But if we think about it not as the negative being negative, but everything just being information, right? So the positive side gives you one type of information, and the negative side gives you another type of information, both of which you can take and use to better your life, basically. Right. So not to think of the negative as negative in a sense. Think of it like an arrow which is pointing the direction you need to go in is also not pointing the other way. Yeah. So you can pick up information from your environment and the things happening around about you, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be negative, because you can take failures, you can take bad experiences and learn from them and realize, okay, I can still take a step forward from that.
Yeah, well, just because they are inevitable, right? There's always going to be good and bad and negative and positive, and you know, pain and suffering and love and everything else. There's always going to be that. So if you accept it, then you can kind of move forward with it, right?
Oh yeah. When I was years ago, I was in theater school, and one of the principles that I went through in theater school was the principle of accept and build. And this is a principle related to improvisation in arts, where somebody comes to you with an idea, or you've got a group of actors in a circle, and one of them says, "Okay, I'm a spider," and everyone has to accept the fact that this person is now a spider. Yeah. And if you accept that, then you can build. You can do something. And somebody else will be like, okay, I'm the spider's web, and somebody else will be, okay, I'm the fly. And as long as you continue to accept and build on what it is that other people are doing, you will in general have a positive relationship with what's going on. You won't be acting against whatever is happening. You'll be, I guess, going with the flow is the way.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Is the way to describe it there. And another thing that's helped me recently is this is a principle of, if you've got two sides of something. A lot of people think of things as a spectrum. If you imagine a straight line, and at one side there would be good and the other side would be bad, right? Yeah. And I don't think it works like that. I imagine it much more as if you imagine a circle with a line from the top to the bottom straight through the middle, one side is good, one side is bad. Something is only good up to a point. You go around the circle. Yeah. Good, too much of good becomes bad. Yeah. And and conversely, at some point, there are things which are in general are very, very bad to do, but at some point they might be the right thing to do because for some reason it has a positive effect. Yeah. Right. You know, it's like, let's say, pulling someone's teeth out in general is not a good idea unless, you know, they got some kind of tooth decay or tooth disease, or the dentist sees that there's no other way to help them, right? Yeah, exactly. So to understand that the situations that we're in life, the actions that we need to take, might not always be the same. The same is not always good, because if we grow and if we learn, then the steps that we take as we grow and as we learn change our relationship to the environment. And maybe, what is good one day might not be so good for the person in the future. We have to evolve and adapt and change as we grow within our relationships. So another thing that I heard recently about relationships is that there was a question. The question was, how many successful relationships, in terms of, let's say, let's take the basic human sort of, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship. Let's just take that as a basic example. How many successful relationships can you have in your life? How many successful relationships? I mean, and the answer that I heard, and then maybe you can give me your perspective on the answer that I heard, was that it's only ever possible to have one. Because when you find that successful relationship, you realize that all the previous relationships can't have been successful. They must have failed in one way or another to produce the final relationship, which is successful. So I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I can kind of see that side of it, but looking at my own relationships in the past, I'd have to say they were all successful except for maybe one or two that leave a bad taste in my mouth. But the rest, I was always, we didn't work out as a couple, but we remained friends. It just wasn't, so it was successful in making me who I am today. So I think depending how you look at it, I'm very optimistic. So, even my bad relationships that didn't end up successful made me successful, because it gave me a take on something that, an experience, which made me grow. So I guess, but if I was maybe fallen into victim mode, I may kind of say that, these people were bad. I had bad relationships, but they weren't really bad. They just weren't the best for me at that time.
Oh, yeah. Different relationships at different times affect us in different ways, obviously, as well. If it's possible to stay good friends with the person after the relationship, then what's the difference between still being good friends and having that person as a partner? Because there's, you understand the question that I'm asking. It's like, what is that difference between a great friend and a great partner? What is the difference there that a person needs to understand?
For me, usually because I'm so forgiving, with my past relationships, they looked elsewhere and for other relationships. So I was virtually cheated on, or just about cheated on. But me being me, I just forgive and forget and move forward. I'm not going to stay married to you, but you are a good person other than that, So for me, that's kind of where I have my reasoning, but I think at the same time, sometimes timing is not perfect. I remember one guy we dated for a little while, and he was perfect, in every way, shape, and form, but I just kind of seen him as like a brother, and I was very fearful to get into another relationship because of my past relationships. So I think in that aspect, maybe I kind of was held back by fear, which I think a lot of people are.
Oh yeah, fear and and love are two of the most powerful motivators I think that exist, and they can send us in completely different directions for the right and wrong reasons. Definitely.
Yeah, that could be a whole other episode.
Yeah. I think what you said is important. I think that we need to forgive but not forget, so that we can move forward. I think that's key. Wow, this has been a fantastic chat. Thank you so much for opening up about this topic.
Oh, you're welcome.
Perhaps it's possible to have part 2 at some point in time.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, super cool. Well, we can keep in touch through the Anchor system, and hopefully.